Revealed, heartwarming story of a dishwasher working 80-hour weeks without pay. The inspiring truth behind his determination. Oliver stood knee-deep in soapy water, his hands submerged in a sink filled with glistening plates and greasy pots. Each scrape of the sponge echoed the burdens he carried. At 25, his life revolved around the small-town diner, where fluorescent lights flickered above, casting a harsh glow on the vanishing smiles of patrons relishing their meals. He worked tirelessly, 80-hour weeks passed in dizzying cycles of dishes and despair. No paycheck meant no peace, but the diner was more than a workplace, it was his refuge. Among the chaotic clatter of forks and the hum of idle chatter, Oliver found solace, especially in the laughter of his sister Lily. Their single mother, Elise, once held dreams of brighter days. Now, those dreams faded in the corner of a cluttered kitchen, shadowed by the pressing need to keep the lights on and food on the table. Each evening, after Oliver scrubbed the last plate, he would tell Lily stories about their father, a rugged veteran who wore dignity like armor. He was gone too soon, but his spirit and teachings lived on. "Remember, Ollie," Lily would say, her eyes shining with hope, "the world is our canvas." With the diner teetering on the brink of closure due to mounting debts, the weight on Oliver's shoulders only grew heavier. One fateful day, a mysterious, wealthy patron dangled a tempting job in front of him, one that could lift him and his family from their struggles. The glitter of ambition sparkled against his loyalty to the diner and his makeshift family of co-workers, but with the sudden hospitalization of the beloved owner, despair swept through the diner like a winter chill. Oliver felt the push of fate. The community gathered in earnest as shadows of uncertainty loomed larger. From the back of the bustling diner, he called upon his fellow employees, each underpaid and overworked, to muster their strength together. They were more than just workers, they were family. "We've built this place on hard work and love," he urged, his voice cracking beneath layers of emotion. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The town council meeting arrived, a spark in the dim atmosphere. Oliver stood in front of a sea of faces, some wrinkled with indifference and others alight with curiosity. As he spoke about the importance of workers, his heart raced. The weight of unfulfilled dreams and sacrifices transformed into fervent words, aiming to ignite the hearts of his community. "Every plate we wash tells a story," he proclaimed, as murmurs rippled through the crowd, some supportive, others doubtful. "Will my words even matter?" He felt the tension rise. The question loomed, a clash of ambition and loyalty, dreams versus duty. Regardless of what happened next, he knew a choice was brewing, one that could alter the fate of their beloved diner forever. With bated breath, the room awaited his answer, as hope infused the air, whispering whether they would couch together or let their treasured heart crumble. Oliver's heart thudded loudly in his chest, like the bass from a distant party. The auditorium was packed, the air thick with a mixture of apprehension and anticipation. The town council members sat like sentinels behind a long table, their expressions ranged from skeptical to supportive. Every person in that room seemed to carry a piece of the diner's fate in their gaze, and Oliver could feel the weight pressing down on his shoulders. He cleared his throat, allowing his eyes to scan the faces of his co-workers, who were now standing alongside him. Each one carried the marks of hard labor, calloused hands, tired eyes, but their expressions reflected hope. They had come together, bonded by the grease of the grill and the camaraderie forged through countless late-night shifts. He wasn't just fighting for the diner, he was fighting for all of them. "As I wash the plates," Oliver continued, his voice steadier now, "I think about who ate from them. I think about the laughter shared over meals, the comfort we provide to our neighbors in tough times. This diner isn't just a job, it's a lifeline for our community." A few heads nodded, while others remained impassive. It was a mix of supporters and naysayers, and he could feel the tension in the air as tangible as the steam rising from the kitchen. Then, the murmurs began. "Yes, right. We need this place. What will happen if it closes?" Each voice built upon the last, a wave of solidarity flowing through the crowd. With each word, Oliver felt his resolve strengthen. If we allow our diner to close, we're closing the door on the dreams we all share. We need to fight for our community. We need to fight for our home. Suddenly, a powerful voice cut through the crowd, a familiar tone that made Oliver's heart skip a beat. It was Lily, standing tall despite her small stature, holding a sign made of colorful construction paper. "What happens when kindness has no home? This diner is our kindness," she shouted, her eyes gleaming with passion. A wave of applause erupted, filling the room like electric energy. Oliver's pulse quickened as more townspeople stood to share their thoughts. Stories spilled forth, people recalled nights spent at the diner, significant moments, meals shared, lives touched. The diner was woven into the very fabric of the town. Yet not everyone was convinced. A stern voice from the council spoke up, dripping skepticism. "This is just a diner. You can't expect us to bail out a failing business with taxpayer money. We're in tough times." The words hung in the air like a bitter chill, instantly dampening the energy. Oliver caught glimpses of disappointment on his co-workers' faces. But he couldn't let that flicker of hope dim. He stepped forward once more, locking eyes with the council member. "This diner represents our unity, our resilience. It's not just about profit, it's about community. Without it, who are we?" As silence enveloped the room, Oliver's words lingered. The tension built like a pressure cooker ready to burst. Slowly, a thoughtful murmur rose from the crowd, a growing chorus of voices, eager to share, eager to fight back. Then, a question broke through the noise, one that echoed in Oliver's heart. "What can we do?" A challenge laced with desperation, a spark of collective intention igniting. Oliver took a deep breath. "Let us show them our strength. Let us come together and create a plan. We can organize fundraisers, create community events, spread the word. And most importantly, we can demonstrate how much this diner means to all of us." The energy shifted, the air became electric with newfound purpose. It was a rallying cry. But even as hope slashed through the gathering, Oliver could sense an impending storm. He had awakened a passion, but would it be enough to persuade the council? The final question loomed like a cloud over the diner's future. Would they stand together and keep the fire of their beloved diner alight, or would the flames flicker out, leaving nothing but ashes behind? With eyes scanning the eager, enforcing crowd, Oliver clenched his fists. He could feel history unraveling, choices stirring in that charged moment, summoning every ounce of courage he'd ever known. Would they grasp this turning point, or allow the darkness to creep back in? Determined, he closed his eyes, whispering a silent promise to the diner, his sister, and every patron who'd ever walked through its doors. In that instant, he knew one thing for certain: the battle for their hearts had just begun. The room buzzed with energy, a low hum punctuated by conversations and the shuffling of feet. Oliver stood at the front, heart racing as he felt the tide of hope swell around him. The applause from Lily's call still echoed in his ears, a reminder of the fire that had ignited within the crowd. He could see their faces, a mixture of excitement and determination, and it filled him with a sense of purpose. "All right, everyone," he shouted, attempting to harness the enthusiasm. "Let us break it down. What can we do? Fundraisers, social media campaigns, community dinners. We need ideas. We need a plan." His co-workers nodded vigorously, and soon the room erupted in ideas, each more vibrant than the last. Someone shouted about a bake sale, while another suggested a talent show. Oliver smiled, feeling the weight of despair start to lift. This was their moment. Even the skeptics were caught up in the current. Oliver could see a flicker of spark in their eyes. "You know what?" Oliver's voice rang through the chatter. "How about we hold a community day? A day to share stories, showcase our town, and show what this diner means to us. The suggestion landed like a pebble in a pond, sending out ripples of engagement. Excited voices took over again, brainstorming ideas of local musicians they could invite or special menu items featuring the diner's best-loved dishes. For a moment, the room was filled with laughter and reminiscing a brief respite from the heaviness that had previously filled the air. But then, in the midst of laughter, a voice cut through, drawing Oliver's attention. It was Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly woman known for her pie recipes. "Oliver, dear, I worry it's not enough. What if, in the end, the council still says no?" Her question hung in the air, a poignant reminder of the stakes. The energy dimmed slightly, and Oliver's heart sank. It was true, the council held the ultimate power. "Mrs. Jenkins, I understand your concern," he said, trying to bring back the energy. "But we cannot let fear stop us from fighting. We need to show them how valuable our diner truly is, not just in words but in action. They need to see us as a community." A palpable silence followed, then slowly, firmly, people began nodding once more. It wasn't just the diner they were fighting for, it was their lives, their memories, their connections. "Let's reach out to the local news," volunteered Mark, the cook who had worked long hours alongside Oliver. "They can cover our community day and show everyone what's at stake here." As they discussed plans and roles, Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just about the diner. It was about making a stand, a declaration that they wouldn't let fear dictate their future. Hours passed like minutes as they divided tasks, organizing who would bake goods, who would contact musicians, and who would handle advertising. They spoke passionately, their voices blending into a chorus of unity, and Oliver felt infused with their fervor. Then, without warning, the doors swung open, and the mayor stepped in, flanked by the council member who had spoken against them. A hush fell over the crowd. "Oliver," she called calmly, her expression unreadable. "We heard your rallying cries loud and clear. But we need to talk, and it's not just about the diner." The excitement dissipated, replaced by a suffocating tension. Oliver's stomach twisted with uncertainty. What could they possibly want? Before he could process the weight of her words, the mayor raised her hand. "We're proposing a meeting for next week to discuss future plans." Oliver's heart raced. What would this meeting hold? Hope or despair? He glanced at his co-workers, each face reflecting the shift in energy. "Make sure you bring your best ideas, because this time, we're listening." As the mayor's words echoed in his mind, Oliver felt a rush of determination surge through him. Perhaps they were poised on the edge of something extraordinary. But they had to be ready for whatever came next. The diner's fate balanced precariously, and all Oliver could think was, what would they discover about themselves before the final showdown? Oliver stood frozen as the mayor's gaze swept across the gathered crowd, a sea of anxious faces looking back at her. The air felt thicker, every heartbeat louder than the last. What kind of plans did the council have in mind, and how would they affect the diner, their home away from home? "Thank you for coming here today," the mayor continued, her voice firm but softer than Oliver expected. "As I mentioned, we want to have a discussion. Recently, we've received numerous concerns from the community regarding the diner's future." Her eyes flicked to the counselor beside her. The man looked impassive, folding his arms, clearly waiting for the mayor to deliver the news. "Concerns?" Mark echoed incredulously from the back. "Aren't they the ones who wanted to shut it down in the first place?" "Please," the mayor held up a hand to quiet the murmur, "let's not jump to conclusions. We know how valuable this diner is to many of you. This meeting isn't just to discuss the diner's fate, it's about exploring potential partnerships that could benefit all parties." Oliver felt a rush of hope. Partnerships? He thought. The idea tumbled like dice in his mind. What if they could secure funding, or even support to revamp the diner? "Yes," the mayor continued, sensing the shift in energy. "We want to involve the diner in an initiative to promote local businesses. If successful, this will not only increase footfall for the diner but also shine a light on our community as a whole. Oliver leaned forward, excitement mixing with caution. That sounds promising, but what's the catch? He asked, his voice unsteady but determined. The mayor looked thoughtful. Community involvement is crucial. We need your support to bring other businesses on board. We need your shared vision for this initiative to convince the council. As she spoke, Oliver felt the flicker of dread creeping back. This wasn't just about keeping the diner open. It was about their livelihood, their stories, and the sense of belonging they had forged together. They were a part of this town, a vital puzzle piece. The stakes had just risen higher. Let us not waste time, then, Oliver said, rallying the group once more. If they want excitement, we'll give them excitement. Community Day needs to be a showstopper. We'll invite everyone, businesses, schools, families. We have to demonstrate how vital this diner is. Applause erupted, and for a moment, they fed off each other's energy, a whirlwind of ideas erupting once again. People discussed decorations that would honor their shared histories, stories they could share at the event about what the diner meant to them. It was no longer simply a meal, it was laughter, first dates, late-night conversations, and everything in between. But amid the excitement, Oliver couldn't shake the unease that lingered, questions swirling like leaves caught in a gust. Could they truly pull this off? Would the council embrace the changes? As they planned, his thoughts drifted to Mrs. Jenkins, the wise woman in the corner, still worried about the future. He wished he could ease her fears. He remembered her pies and how they warmed the hearts of everyone in town. As the meeting began to wind down, Oliver felt the weight of their mission settle upon him. All right, everyone, let us make it happen. We can show them what we can do when we come together. Suddenly, another voice piped up. What if they try to sabotage us? It's not like they've been on our side before. Oliver paused. Doubt had crept in again. They were stepping into unfamiliar territory, and it scared him. But he raised his chin and looked everyone in the eye. What if they do? We may not know the outcome, but we can't let fear hold us back. We fight for each other and for our diner. With that, they ended the meeting on a note of unity, but as Oliver stepped out into the cool night, uncertainty loomed larger than before. What would they reveal about their community, and were they prepared for the response? The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear, they were about to discover just how far they were willing to fight. To save their home. As he walked home, Oliver's mind raced. Would they find the strength together to change their fate? And what surprises awaited them in the meeting with the council? The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm light across the diner. Oliver arrived early, his heart still pounding with adrenaline from the previous night's meeting. The diner was quiet, a stark contrast to the noise of voices that buzzed with hope just hours earlier. As he wiped down the counter, memories floated back, Saturday mornings filled with laughter, the smell of brewing coffee mingling with the sweetness of Mrs. Jenkins' pies, the sense of safety in those walls. It was more than a job to him, it was family. Hey, Oliver. A familiar voice broke his reverie. It was Emma, the waitress whose laugh could light up the darkest rooms. Morning, he replied, forcing a smile. Her energy always lifted his spirits, even during the heavy times. Ready to get this community day rolling? She asked as she set down a plate of freshly baked muffins. I think so. Just need to figure out how to rally everyone together, he said, almost to himself. They'll come, trust me, Emma replied, her eyes sparkling with confidence. We all want this. We just need to show them how much. Those words rang in Oliver's ears as he poured coffee into steaming mugs. The gathering crowd outside fueled his determination. Families were starting to flock to the diner, drawn in by the scent of breakfast and the hope of a brighter future. Hours passed, and the diner filled with conversations, laughter, and the clatter of plates. Oliver worked alongside Emma and the other staff, but he could see the anxiety lurking beneath the smiles of the regulars. The council meeting loomed like a storm cloud, threatening everything they cherished. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Mark, his face flushed with excitement. "You won't believe this. I spoke to a few of the local businesses. They're on board for Community Day." The news sent a ripple of energy through the diner. Everyone leaned closer, curiosity igniting their spirits. "Really? Who's joining us?" Oliver asked, eager to hear more. "Gina from the bakery, the hardware store owner, and even the new coffee shop. They want to partner and share their stories like a full circle of support." Hope blossomed in Oliver's chest, but doubts quickly followed. What if they change their minds? "They won't," Mark replied with assurance. "This is our moment. We just need to keep pushing." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue through the windows, Oliver couldn't shake the weight of responsibility. On one hand, excitement buzzed in the air. On the other, uncertainty clung to him like a fog. Later that evening, a knock at the door interrupted their post-lunch cleanup. Oliver opened the door, half expecting another friendly face, but instead found himself face to face with two council members, their stern expressions stark against the cheerful diner backdrop. "Oliver," one of them said, his tone unexpectedly cold. "We need to talk about Community Day." At that moment, Oliver's heart sank. He felt exposed, vulnerable as the weight of their plans crashed back into his reality. What now? He wondered. The council members exchanged glances, and the tension in the air deepened. "We have concerns, serious concerns," the other member muttered. "We need to discuss the implications on the town." Panic clawed at Oliver, but he steadied himself, reminding himself why they embarked on this journey together. He gathered his strength and took a step forward. "We can handle it. Our community has a voice. We're ready to show you what we can do." Their reaction wasn't what he expected, and the uncertainty hung thick. Would they support this vision, or would it be another setback? As Oliver faced the council, he felt the weight of his community behind him, and it sparked a flicker of hope. But that flicker was battling a growing fear of what was to come. Would they be heard? Would the diner survive this test? The answers loomed just out of reach, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Oliver stood frozen as the council members continued to stare at him. Their eyes were piercing, filled with a mix of skepticism and uncertain resolve. The diner around him spun with activity, the sounds of laughter, plates clanking, and the hissing of the coffee machine seemed distant. He was all too aware of the quiet urgency hanging in the air. "Seriously, the implications?" Oliver echoed back, trying to mask his growing frustration. "You don't think the community deserves a chance to come together? We need this, especially now." One of the council members, a tall man with thinning hair, sighed heavily, shifting uncomfortably on his feet. "It's not that simple, Oliver. Community Day might just stir things up. What if it doesn't go as planned? What if we face backlash? Backlash? Or a celebration?" Oliver retorted, feeling his pulse quicken. "This is our chance to unite. To show that we are more than just individuals. We're a community." Emma stood by his side, her wide eyes glaring at the council members. "We've got dreams and hopes to fulfill here. It's not just about some event, it's about showing our kids that they can believe in something bigger." A faint smile crept across the face of the other council member, a woman with kind eyes. "You're passionate, I'll give you that. But passion alone won't keep our town afloat. We need a plan, true support from the community, and assurances." "Then let us prove it," Oliver offered, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Let us hold this day, and if it falters, then you can shut us down. But if it soars, you'll see how powerful we can be when we stand together." The tension in the room pulled taut like a string about to snap. The nodding heads of patrons behind him offered a hint of hope. They wanted to fight, to rally around this venture, but would it be enough? Finally, the tall council member looked at his partner. All right. We'll give you this chance. But we'll be there, observing. You'll need to make sure everyone is on board. A wave of relief washed over Oliver. Thank you, he breathed, the weight of the world lightening just a bit. As the council members walked away, something in the diner shifted. Conversations resumed, but Oliver could see a flicker of renewed determination in the eyes of the regulars. The diner was more than a place for food, it was a testament to resilience, a gathering place for families that had weathered storms before. Emma leaned close, her voice a whisper just for him. We can do this, Oliver. We really can. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, painting the diner in hues of orange and purple, Oliver felt the buoyancy of hope swelling inside him. Yet, as he looked around, he realized the weight of their responsibility had only just begun. Tomorrow, Oliver said, determination ringing in his voice. We're going to need flyers, outreach, and a plan. We'll talk to everyone we know. This has to be about more than just the diner, it needs to be for the whole town. But just as he felt a spark of excitement, a thought crept in: what if some didn't want to be part of this dream? What if deep down, some harbored fear or apathy? As worry crept back into his heart, he shook it off, refusing to let doubt dim the light that had ignited. With a deep breath, he returned to the bustling atmosphere around him, ready to put their plan into action. But could he really rally everyone behind such a bold vision? The moment of truth was fast approaching, and somewhere beneath that friendly diner facade lay challenges they had yet to face. Would the very fabric of their community withstand it all? Oliver glanced out the window, catching the last rays of daylight. He could feel the weight of uncertainty loom ahead as they ventured toward a new day, one that would ask far more of them than they ever imagined. What would they discover when they reached for that dream? Oliver woke up early the next morning, the pale light filtering through his window. He sat on the edge of his bed, heart racing at the thought of the day ahead. It wouldn't just be a day of planning, it would be a battle for something vital, something worth fighting for. After a quick breakfast, he gathered his supplies: stacks of paper for flyers, markers, and a very old but trusty stapler. He could almost hear the buzz of anticipation in the air already. He could see the diner bustling with energy as families gathered for breakfast, eyes glistening with the promise of Community Day. The day he hoped would spark a fire beneath their town's spirit. Emma arrived soon after, her brown hair tied back in a ponytail, bright eyes shining. Ready? She asked, her enthusiasm infectious. They spent the morning crafting the flyers together, each word typed with care, every color chosen to evoke warmth and hope. Let us highlight the activities, Oliver suggested, enthusiasm creeping into his voice. Food trucks, games, live music. We need to show what this day can be. Oh, and let us not forget the raffle. Emma added, bouncing on her toes. We can get local businesses involved. They'll appreciate the exposure. They laughed, throwing ideas around, feeding off each other's excitement. As soon as the flyers were printed, they threw on jackets and hit the streets of their small town. As they walked, they handed the flyers to anyone who would take them. Neighbors, shopkeepers, even kids riding their bikes. Each time they saw someone's eyes light up at the thought of the event, it fueled their enthusiasm further. But it wasn't all sunshine and smiles. Once, they approached Mr. Keller, the grumpy owner of the hardware store. He took the flyer, looked it over, and harumphed. What do I care about some community thing? We're barely hanging on as it is. But it's for you too, Mr. Keller. Oliver rushed out. This isn't just a party. It's a way for us to remind each other we're in this together. Think about it: customers walking into your shop, feeling energized by what we create. The man sighed, crumpling the flyer in his fist before tossing it back to Oliver. Good luck then, he said, turning away. Deflated, Oliver felt Emma's hand on his shoulder. Don't take it personally. Some people take time to warm up to change. Still, the sting lingered. That moment kept echoing in his mind as they continued. Each rejection weighed heavier than the last. What if he couldn't get everyone on board? At one point, they encountered some kids playing in the park, laughter booming loudly. "Hey, we're planning something special. You want to help us out?" Emma asked. The kids crowded around, eyes twinkling with mischief. "What's in it for us?" One of them smirked. "Free cotton candy," Oliver offered, unable to keep a straight face. "Now we're interested." They cheered, running off to gather their friends. By the end of their outreach, Oliver felt exhausted but thrilled. They had spread the word, igniting a flicker of hope in the community, but inside, worries still lurked. How many would show up? Would they really unite the town? As they walked back from their day of hustling, the sun began to set, painting the sky a vibrant pink. Emma leaned against him, her breath warm against the cool evening air. "We did something today, Oliver. We took a step toward our dream." "Yeah," he replied, a smile tugging at his lips, though uncertainty still gnawed at him. "But what if it all falls apart?" "Then we try again," Emma said, squeezing his hand. "Because this matters." In that moment, he felt a surge of gratitude. Even if obstacles lay ahead, they had each other, and somewhere deep inside, he clung to the belief that they could make something beautiful happen. As they approached the diner, Oliver caught sight of a familiar figure pushing through the doors. It was Clara, the quiet artist who rarely joined in community events. Today, she held a stack of canvases, determination shining in her eyes. What is she planning? Oliver wondered. And just like that, another piece of the puzzle started to form, demanding his attention. Why was Clara here, and how would her involvement reshape their vision? Clara paused just outside the diner, canvases under her arms as if she were cradling dreams instead of stretched fabric. Oliver and Emma approached her cautiously, their earlier enthusiasm giving way to curiosity. "Clara!" Emma called out, her voice bright with interest. "What is going on? Is that your art?" Clara's cheeks flushed a deep red, and she glanced down at the canvases almost shyly. Yes. I wanted to contribute something for Community Day." Her voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if she was testing the waters of a new world. Oliver's heart leapt. "That's amazing. What do you have in mind?" "I thought I could set up an art booth," Clara said, her initial shyness fading slightly as she spoke. "You know, invite people to paint with me, express themselves. I believe art can bring people together. Plus, it might help some of us find beauty, even in tough times." Emma's face lit up. "That's a fantastic idea. Art can really connect with people. What materials do you need?" "We can help. I have paints and brushes, but I could use a few more canvases," Clara replied, a note of hope creeping into her voice as she spoke, as if she was starting to believe this could actually happen. "You got it," Oliver said, feeling a swell of excitement. "This is the kind of spark we need. I'll help you set it up at the diner." The idea of art mingling with the bustling atmosphere of Community Day sent a buzz of energy up Oliver's spine. The thought of children with paint-stained hands giggling, adults finding solace in creativity, it was everything he had envisioned, but even more. As they chatted about the logistics, the weight of Oliver's earlier worries began to lift. Here was a new ally, someone with a unique vision. They discussed the layout, Clara's eyes brightening with every new suggestion. But just as the conversation flowed, Oliver noticed a glimmer of hesitation behind Clara's excitement. "Are you sure this is okay?" she murmured, biting her lower lip. "I mean, what if no one comes?" "That's the beauty of it," Emma chimed in. "Even if just a few people show up, those moments will matter. And who knows? It could turn into something bigger." Clara took a deep breath and nodded, her uncertainty fading slightly. "Okay. I'll do it." The three of them spent the next couple of hours finalizing plans, excitement bubbling between them. Oliver found himself laughing more freely. He had expected the day to be full of pitching ideas and reveling in the usual hustle. But here, with Clara opening up and Emma's contagious energy, he felt the heavy burden of doubt starting to lift. Walking back home under the evening stars, Oliver felt lighter. He could envision the crowd at the diner, the laughter, the colors splashing across canvases, and it filled him with hope. But still, that gnawing worry lingered in the back of his mind. Do you think anyone will actually show up for all this? Oliver asked as they reached his doorstep, casting a knowing glance toward Emma. I think. Emma paused, her voice serious for a moment. If we believe it matters, then it does. Just look at what Clara is doing. That's something. Yeah, something. Before Emma could respond, a distant rumble of thunder echoed, and the skies above churned darker. The wind carried a cool breeze, stirring up the remnants of sunlight. What's next? Oliver thought, the unease creeping back in. What if the storms get worse? What if we lose the chance to unite everyone? And just like that, a voice behind them startled him. It was Clara, hesitation resuming its grip as she looked back at them. I hope you'll really come to the booth. I need you two there. As they nodded, Oliver couldn't shake the rush of anxiety. He wanted to reassure Clara, wanted to tell her everything would be okay. But what if the storms ahead meant disappointment for all of them? They exchanged promises to meet up again soon. Oliver left standing at his doorstep, staring at the gathering clouds. The storm loomed large, and beneath that weight, he felt a mix of anticipation and fear. How would the town respond to Clara's creativity or to Community Day itself? As he closed the door, a thought nagged at him, maybe the storm wasn't just a physical one. What was brewing beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed when the skies finally broke open? The sun rose reluctantly the next morning, shadows clinging to every corner of the town. Oliver woke up feeling the weight of unspoken expectations pressing down on him. Community Day was only hours away, and the threats of a storm loomed larger in his mind than they did in the sky. He prepared breakfast with his heart somewhere else, thoughts swirling around Clara, her hopes for the art booth, and the possibility of an empty diner. He fumbled with the toast, the bread slipping from his fingers. Frustrated, he set it aside and reached for his phone instead. A quick glance at the weather app made his stomach drop. Not only was the storm on its way, but it looked like it would hit right around the time of the event. Just then, a message from Emma pinged on his screen. Are you coming over? We need to brainstorm ideas for the booth. He hesitated. The idea of the storm casting a shadow over their plans made him feel nauseous. But he also wondered if Clara needed their support. She must be doubting herself again, he thought. Yeah, I'll be there, he typed back, taking a deep breath. Within the hour, he was at Emma's house, where the smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the sounds of laughter. Emma was sprawled on the living room floor, flipping through her sketchbook filled with possible designs for the booth. Clara sat nearby, fidgeting with her paintbrushes, her eyes darting around as if searching for words, or maybe reassurance. Hey, you two. Oliver attempted a smile, but it felt strained. How are we holding up? Emma looked up, her eyes bright. Great. Clara has some amazing ideas for how we can decorate the booth. I think it'll really draw people in. Clara beamed briefly, then her face fell. But what if nobody comes? What if it rains? Oliver felt his heart twist. You know, he started, searching for the right words, even if only a few people show up, it's still going to matter. Art has a way of connecting people. Maybe even more in tough times. Oliver's right. Emma chimed in. Look at how you've inspired us. Just think about the joy you could bring. Remember our art class project? Everyone came together to help, even when we were nervous. Clara nodded slowly, but Oliver could see the worry still flickering in her eyes. It was then that the first drops of rain began to tap against the window, gentle at first but quickly building. They all exchanged anxious looks, and Clara's face paled. "What if I fail?" she whispered, almost to herself. The sudden intensity of her vulnerability hit Oliver hard. "You won, T," he assured her, voice steady, though a part of him quaked inside. "We'll be there. And we'll make this work. Together." The rain intensified, a drumming cacophony against the glass that felt like the heavens mourning their hopes. Clara's breathing grew shaky, and Oliver stepped closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Let us think of something fun. How about we tell everyone that every canvas they paint could get hung up in the diner?" Emma proposed, trying to uplift their spirits. "There's nothing more inviting than a painting made by a community member." Clara began to smile again, slowly igniting a flicker of hope. "Yeah, that sounds fun. And maybe we could have a little contest or something." As ideas started to flow, Oliver felt lighter too. They shared laughter again, but the storm outside continued to grow in ferocity, mirroring his own unease. "Do you think we'll be okay?" he asked suddenly, glancing outside at the swirling clouds. Clara paused, looking thoughtful. "We won't know unless we try, but what if things don't go as we hope?" A silence fell as they contemplated the question, each of them holding their breath, the weight of vulnerability heavy in the room. Oliver felt a jolt of fear at the thought of failure creeping closer, but instead of retreating, he leaned in. "Even if we stumble, we'll be together. That's the most important part." The sound of thunder echoed outside, and they all exchanged anxious glances. Clara's eyes sparkled with uncertainty, but something else too: determination. As they gathered their thoughts, a sudden loud crash of thunder shook the windows, and it was almost as if the storm was releasing its own fears. As they prepared for what lay ahead, Oliver couldn't help but ask himself, was it too late to change the course of Community Day? What if this storm turned out to be an opportunity, an unexpected twist in their story? He could feel the moment shifting, an energy building. Something was about to change, but would it be for the better or worse? The clock ticked, and the storm outside writhed like a living thing. Yet inside Emma's living room, with warm coffee in their hands and smiles starting to emerge, the air felt alive with possibilities. Despite the rain drumming at their windows, a flicker of optimism whispered that maybe, just maybe, this could be the spark that lit their community on fire. "Let us set up a tent outside the diner," Oliver suggested, biting his lip in determination. "Even if the rain slows down, we can give people shelter to help with the booths. It'll create a festival vibe." "I love that." Emma's eyes sparkled. "And we can bring in some fairy lights to make it feel cozy. People can still paint, they won't mind a little drizzle if it means having fun." Clara, inspired by their enthusiasm, began to jot down quick sketches for their booth layout in her notebook. "And maybe we can encourage people to bring their own canvases too. More art means more stories." The three of them dove into a whirlwind of brainstorming as the rain's intensity began to become a backdrop to their creative energy. Each idea they tossed around felt like adding weight to their resolve. Once they had a plan in place, they raced against the clock, gathering supplies, decorating signs, and trying to carefully time their setup with the impending storm. Laughter erupted frequently in their little team, even as they rushed about like a group of determined ants. "Community Day is going to be a success, rain or shine," Emma declared, her spirit contagious. By early afternoon, the storm had settled into a steady drizzle, but that didn't deter Oliver, Emma, or Clara. They set up the tent outside the diner, blue and bright against the gray clouds. Underneath it, they arranged paint supplies, snacks for the event, and even a small podium where Oliver would stand to welcome everyone and share what the diner meant to the community. As families began to trickle in, their faces bright with curiosity despite the gloomy weather, Oliver felt a swell of warmth in his chest. Each person that arrived not only gathered under the tent but also joined together in the spirit of what they fought for. Clara's art booth soon filled with laughter, brightly colored paint flying as children squealed with delight at the chance to express themselves. "Look, Oliver! This one SA sunset!" a young boy exclaimed, holding up a canvas, his blue hands streaked with yellow. "Beautiful!" Oliver beamed, the pure joy radiating in that moment filled his heart. Was it possible for something so simple to unite them all? As the hours slipped by, the storm outside diminished into a light patter, transforming into a soft ambience that hung around the diner. People filtered in and out, drawn in by the warmth of food, laughter, and art. For every naysayer Oliver had encountered, 10 supporters showed up to nourish the heart of the diner. Just as Oliver began to think they might actually pull this off, he spotted familiar faces. Mr. Keller and a few others, initially skeptical, found their way to the tent. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward to greet them. "Mr. Keller, glad you made it," Oliver offered, hope laced through his voice. "Yeah, well, my wife dragged me here," he grumbled half-heartedly, but Oliver caught the corner of his mouth twitching, a hint of a smile underneath his gruff demeanor. Later, as dusk settled, Oliver stood up to share a few words. A rustle of murmurs echoed through the crowd, and he felt the air shift. He caught sight of his sister Lily in the front row, beaming like a ray of sunshine, pumping him up. "Thank you, everyone, for being here today," he began, heart thrumming with emotion. "This diner means more than food, it's a symbol of the connections we create. It's a canvas that tells our stories." Applause erupted, washing over him like a wave, and the warmth in his chest grew stronger. From Clara's art to the laughter shared, we've shown that all our dreams matter. We've proven we can weather any storm together. With every word, he felt the weight of worry lifting. This was it. The community was alive. United. This wasn't just about protecting the diner, it was about fostering something fundamental, a reminder that they were never alone. As the night deepened, warm lights flickered, and joy filled the air. Clara's art lined the walls of the diner, capturing moments: bursting sunsets, flowers in bloom, smiles that painted hope. People mingled, ate, laughed, and danced, and Oliver watched, a radiant smile plastered across his face. In his heart, he felt an echo of their father's voice. "Remember, Ollie, the world is our canvas." And as the storm retreated completely, replaced by the twinkling stars above, Oliver understood. They had not only found a way to keep their diner alive, they had created a beautiful tapestry of community that would last no matter what storms lay ahead. To the spirit of resilience, love, and unity that blossomed from the heart of a small-town diner, this was their moment. If you've been inspired by Oliver, Clara, Emma, and the rest, now is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of transformation. You need to subscribe now, don't wait not even one more second to share this with your loved ones. True fans understand how vital your engagement is to keep these stories alive.